All right. What's going on, guys? It's Lost in Iceland here. I wanted to start this series. I've been really been wanting to do something like this for a while. I've been being lazy and I'm not going to be lazy anymore. I'm going to do it and I'm going to see how it does. Anyways, I'm going to make a how to get better at Mythic Plus and why I recommend healing. I wanted to start this series to try to help people in the Mythic Plus community who want to push higher but are having a hard time figuring out how to make that next jump, right? And being in keys and then just like healers not being able to heal me as a tank. Just kidding. But am I though? I'm going to try to keep these videos pretty short and straightforward. I don't want to completely nerd out on every little subject and make Mythic Plus harder to understand than it needs to be. And at the end of the day, it's a game and it should be fun. I've watched some videos and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like it's great that some of that information is out there, but it can be a little much, especially if you're new to the game or just sort of new to Mythic Plus trying to break in, you know what I mean? Break in. Anyway, so I've been playing Mythic Plus for a few expansions now. I've been playing since probably BFA, especially recently. I've noticed the game has changed quite a bit. And this might, just be in my opinion, but I think if your goal is somewhere around 3,400 or roughly the 15-16 key range, which 3,400 you get the mount. So if you missed on other season mounts, you get this. You can buy those mounts, so you can feel like you've been part of those seasons, I guess. But anyway, sorry, I'm going off ramp. A really solid healer can carry a group pretty damn hard. I really do believe that. And in the 15 to 16 key range, if you're good, and then once people get gear as a healer, you can carry, no problem. There's no reason why you shouldn't be in that range. You just need the tools. Obviously, the rest of your group still needs to do decent damage. Hit a kick, every now and then. And well, the tank, well, let's just be honest, the tank is going to do tank things. But I really believe a good healer can make up a lot of the mistakes at this level. If you're trying to go beyond and start pushing for that top 1 percentile, well, that's a different beast. Let me tell you. Yeah, that's not something you just reach out, and just grab it like that. Anyways, it's definitely possible. But if you're pugging, you're probably gonna have to put in a lot of time and a lot of fails to get to that level of play. Anyways, why I recommend healing. Okay. So, why am I talking about healing? Obviously, playing a tank or a healer gets you into keys faster, which is already a huge advantage when you're trying to push. And it also gives you more experience for, not having to sink a lot of time into it as a DPS. But, anyways, I'm going off on a rant. I'm getting back on subject. But I also think playing these roles teaches you the game differently. As a healer, you start noticing where people die, what mechanics are actually dangerous, when people need to use their freaking defensives, when damage spikes happen, and where people should be standing. You start to see the dungeon a lot different. A lot different. And I actually think learning the game from a healer or tank's way of play can eventually make you a better DPS player too. You start to understand when you should use your own defensives because you've already seen those mechanics from the healer's perspective. Um, you also start seeing the same mechanics over and over and over and over and over and over and learning where you should be standing, where you shouldn't be standing. But that's another topic for another video. If you really want to push and start seeing those higher keys, I think healing is one of the best ways to do it. I really do. And personally, Resto Shaman is one of my favorite healers for this. And it can seem like one of the hardest healers at first, because let me tell you, I don't know if you can see this right here. They got a lot of freaking buttons, man. A lot of buttons. But those buttons make the magic happen. Um, but anyways, it seems like one of the hardest healers at first. But once you understand the basics, I think it becomes one of the easiest healers to carry groups with. We'll get into that exactly why in a minute after I rant a little more. So you're trying to get better at Mythic Plus. Before we get into Resto Shaman, let's talk about actually getting better at Mythic Plus. If you're newer to Mythic Plus or stuck or trying to push higher, one of the biggest things I would tell you is stop worrying so much about damage. The meters. Damage obviously matters. It always matters. People like, oh, we couldn't do the key because oh, the damage sucked, da 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 da. And in higher keys that might be the case, but how many people died? You know what I mean? Like, was the tank pulling 5, 6, 7 packs of mobs at once? No, they were probably pulling 1 pack at a time, and that's just not gonna cut it. Bottom line. Anyways, another video. Eventually, you're gonna need the big damage to time the higher keys. Yeah, you're right. But in the lower keys, like 15 below, not really a problem. I promise you. But knowing how to stay alive is more important than doing a little more damage and dying. Exactly my point. People die, you lose time, you're losing damage. Anyways, learn your defenses. If you see a giant circle around you and an arrow pointing at you, or something basically telling you, hey, you are about to die, hit the freaking defensive button, man. Like, just do it. Just do it. Don't save every defensive for the perfect moment. Because I tell you right now, there's no perfect moment in this game. The only perfect moment is when you get that title percent. Okay, I'm going off. Sorry. Anyway, so the perfect moment then when you finish the dungeon without ever pressing it. There's literally no freaking perfect moment. You just gotta press it, okay? I mean, there is times where, certain mechanics will kill you, so I recommend pushing the button, which in future videos you will learn when those times will come. At the same time, you don't need to know every single ability from every single mob in every single dungeon. You don't need to memorize a spreadsheet before you're allowed to push keys. Understand your class to a decent level, knowing when you should use your big cooldowns and when you might want to hold on to them because you know a big pool is coming. And most importantly, understanding the basics of the dungeon you're in. Like, I I've been doing like 13s and 14s. I know this is like the beginning of the season, not on this character, on a tank, and I literally have DPS that don't even know the mechanics. Like, how are you even thinking of queuing up for this key? Like, oh god, it makes me so mad. Um anyway, so know the boss fights. Know which mobs have important casts. Know what needs to be kicked. Simple. You don't need to nerd out and know every single little detail. Just get the basics down first. Once you have the foundation, then you can start worrying about optimizing everything else if you want to be that player. That's a big one right there. Some people don't have a lot of time. Some people don't want to sit here and read all these millions of guides trying to dissect, oh, I need to stand, just off to the side for this, anyways, I'm getting on a rant. I do that. I'm sorry. Let's get locked back in. Okay, so now I want to talk about useful Mythic Plus websites. With this being said, there are a couple websites and tools that can make all of this a lot easier. Again, I'm keeping this simple. You don't need 20 different websites open just to play WoW. You really don't. Some people might say you do, but I promise you, you don't. Anyways, so let's go ahead and start with Mythic Stats. This is nice because you can quickly see what's performing well in Mythic Plus, right? So when you're building groups, if it's your key or people are asking, I would recommend taking classes that do a lot of damage very easily. That will help your keys be successful, okay? Simple. You can look at the top damage dealer classes, what's performing at different key levels, and get a general idea of what the current meta looks like. Now, I wouldn't tell someone to completely change their class just because the website says another spec is better. Play something that you actually enjoy and know how to play. Because if you don't know how to play it, you're going to suck. And I mean, you can get better, but you're not going to do well and you're just going to get discouraged and probably quit playing, which that kind of defeats the whole purpose. But if you're trying to push higher and you're struggling to get invited to keys, understanding what's currently performing well and what's popular is definitely going to help. And that is what Mythic Stats can help you do, right? So here's the website. I'll just give you like a quick little I'll add this in the YouTube description. So you can kind of see, like, you can click the meta, right? Oh wait, hold on. DPS. So we'll start with DPS. So you can do DPS, right? And then you can literally see like what it's saying is S tier. So it's saying that in this video, Demo, Arcane Mage, Elemental, you can kind of see like where their damage is at, right? Like this is their average damage, So if you're in keys and people aren't you know, at the end of the dungeon or whatever, doing like roughly this much damage, you know, clearly you got a problem, and you know that key's probably not going to be timed or whatever, right? So, anyways, I'm not gonna go too far in this. You can look into this for yourself. Yeah. So, and then you can go to specs, right? So then you click specs and you can see the melee tier list. Arms warrior obviously at the top. Elemental shaman and arcane mage, blood DK, holy paladin. Ooh, look at that resto shaman. It's not always there at the top, but it's always right there somewhere. I'm telling you, it's a secret key to success. Anyway, so there's this website. I just wanted to show you this. Anyway, so next, right, we have Murloc IO. This one I really like because you can pull up whatever class and spec you're trying to play and quickly see what higher rated players are actually running. You can look at their talents, gears, enchants, stats, and builds instead of spending an hour trying to figure out whether one talent is slightly better than another. You can see what successful players are actually using and use them as your starting point. Sorry. So here, I'll give you a quick rundown, right? So let's just say, what are we doing? Shaman, right? So shaman, you know, make sure that you click it. We're gonna do resto, right? And then up here, Mythic Plus, make sure to check it. You can see like it looks like totems is what's everyone's rocking. Farseer, not so much, right? So then you can kind of see like, dang, look at that shaman. He's 3,600. You know what I mean? Like it's the second week of freaking Mythic Plus. You can see your stat weight. You know, you can see their talent. And then all this other crap. You just gotta kind of look into it yourself. Kind of what they're running, enchants, all that good stuff. Anyways, it's a good tool. You should use it, and then you can click the players, and then go to like copy their build, and then you can use their build, right? But we'll go into builds and stuff later. Anyways, so another thing is Raider IO, right? Most people who have been pushing Mythic Plus already know about Raider IO, but if you're newer to this, and this is where you can track your rating, look up other players, check runs, and see where the seasonal title cutoff is sitting. If you're trying to eventually push for the 1%, this is where you can approximately see where the cutoff is and what you're actually going to need. So I just wanted to show this, so if people didn't know, you go to Mythic Plus, you go to seasonal cutoffs, right? And then you go to, oh my gosh, you go to United States, right? And then it literally gives you a breakdown right now, right? So like this will change future seasons and stuff, but right now this is where it's at, right? So you need 3,188 points. And then you can kind of see like, okay, it gives you like an overall, like all 14s is 3,160. You know what I mean? Like that's top 1.3 right now. Like these numbers are all going to change as soon as the season goes on and on and on. But anyways, yeah, so that's kind of, I just wanted to showcase that, and then like you can kind of look into this stuff yourself or whatever. See, you got to do things with that if you're into that. Anyways, so here's some class guides, and learning from other players. Another thing I want to mention when it comes to learning a class, don't feel like you have to figure out everything by yourself. Most classes have their own Discord communities with people who have been playing these specs forever. Go into your class Discord, look through the guides, ask questions. I also really recommend watching different streamers who play your class at a high level or YouTube videos, but don't just blindly copy what they're doing. Try to understand why they're doing it. Why did they use their cooldown there? Why are they running that talent? Why do they keep hold of their cooldown instead of using it? Because there's no point in literally taking the talent and then literally never freaking use it. You know what I mean? You gotta know. You gotta know. When did they change something for this particular dungeon, right? For example, there'll be some times where we need poison totem. Then there'll be some times where we might need the fear totem. Like, yeah, we probably won't ever use the fear totem, hopefully. But if someone misses a kick, boom, you drop that fear totem and you just save the group. God, I love a shaman. Anyways, let's see. So That's how you actually start learning your class instead of just copying someone else's build. And again, this is where Murloc IO is really useful. You can quickly look up multiple high-rated players and see what they're running. There are going to be special cases where you change a couple talents depending on that dungeon or what your group needs, but most of the time, it's nothing too crazy. Get yourself a solid build, understand what the basics of what you're using it, why you're using it, sorry, that, and start playing. Actually getting the keys and playing the game is where you're going to learn the most. You know what I mean? Like, you can only look crap up so much stuff, you know? Anyway, so Mythic Plus, Mythic Plus and routes. There are also Mythic Plus route information out there. Personally, I wouldn't worry too much about studying routes when you're first starting, unless you're a tank. Obviously, tanks should have a decent idea of where they're going and what they're needing to pull. But as a healer or a DPS, knowing the route can still be really useful, don't get me wrong. But as you start pushing higher, that's when you want to worry about it. Especially because it lets you start planning your cooldowns. You know what I mean? Like, you might see where your tank is going and think, okay, he's about to pull half the damn dungeon. Maybe I should blow everything on these 3 mobs. Yeah, that makes sense. No, you want to blow that load on the big pool, not 3 mobs. That's something, well, that's just something we'll get deeper into later, because cooldown planning becomes more important as you start pushing higher. Why Resto Shaman is so strong. Now let's actually talk about why I think Resto Shaman is strong for someone who wants to start pushing Mythic Plus. One of the biggest reasons is how much group healing you have. It's amazing. So how much of what you're doing is healing multiple people and constantly topping the group? It's amazing. Once you understand the basics of the spec and how your healing works together, you've got a lot of tools for keeping everyone alive. It's amazing. Let's be real. But what really makes Resto Shaman stand out to me isn't just the healing. No, there's more. It's everything else you bring to the group, to the family, to the whole, to make the run successful. And that's a big deal when you're pugging. If you don't have a set team and you're pugging and you're playing with people that are literally just clicking their keyboard, they don't even know what they're clicking. They're just clicking keys. I've literally been in groups, in calls with people, hearing them like they were newer players and they're just clicking away, accidentally taunting the boss, doing this, that. Anyways, I'm getting on a rant. Anyway, so with that being said, the Spirit Link Totem, that's a good one. Let's say someone misses an important kick. Now you're going to have a massive hit coming that could potentially wipe the group. You've got Spirit Link Totem. Bing! You can drop that link and potentially save that pool. Oh, you don't know how many times I've done that. So many times. And then think about how many Mythic Plus dungeons have those huge opening pools. Let's just stop and think for a second. Everyone pops cooldowns, you lust, the tank is pulling a shit ton of mobs. Probably didn't even mean to pull some mobs that you thought he needed. They already do that already, Pugs. They already do that. Everyone's taking damage. You're trying to heal them. They're not popping defensives. They don't know what a health stone is. They don't know what a health pot is. So what am I going to do? I'm going to pull out that big Spirit Link Totem and I'm going to drop it on their ass. And I'm going to save that first pool and it's going to set the momentum for that key to make it amazing. Just saying. So yeah, anyways, moral of the story is having a major cooldown like Spirit Link available for an opening pool can make getting through it so much easier. Obviously, other healers have powerful cooldowns too. I'm not saying Resto Shaman is the only healer that can do this. What I'm saying is shamans give you another tool to fix everyone else's mistakes, which is very important when you're playing with Pugs. And that is very, very, very valuable in Pugs. Just saying. Okay, so no, you have your own interrupt, and that's huge for a freaking healer. Huge for a healer. So this is why I absolutely love having this as a healer. A kick. You're gonna get into groups where an important cast is about to go off and nobody kicks it. Shocker. Instead of sitting there waiting and watching it happen and thinking, well, we're dead. You can do something about it. You can interrupt it yourself. And you might have just saved the entire group run and they will probably praise you for many seasons. They're gonna want to friend request you and everything else. That's probably not any of that's probably not gonna happen, but hey, it might, and I'm glad it happened to you. And you might have to, and you might have just saved the entire group. Like seriously. Anyways, this is another reason I think healing can make you a better overall player because now you're gonna start. You're not just staring at health bars. You're going to start realizing which casts are actually dangerous, which ones hurt. You're going to learn which mobs need to be interrupted, which is important. You're paying attention to what your group is doing. And eventually, all of that becomes second nature, like the back of your hand. Bam! Um, Anyways, so utility, the shaman utility. You start adding all of the shaman's other utility on top of that. Oh my god, they're so good for keys. You've got your dispels, okay? You've got purge. You can purge enrages and shields. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing. You've got so many ways to keep your group alive, to help, your tank not take damage. Um, Anyways, you also have ways to help deal with certain poisons and fears. You've got different totems for different situations. You've got Wind Rush Totem, for example. Which can actually be really nice because most of these dungeons nowadays, they have pretty long runs between packs. It's like they want us to waste time or something. Like they're trying to make us not time the key. How dare they? Um, there's just a lot of little things you can do to help your group as a shaman. And that's really the main point I'm trying to make about Resto Shaman. It gives you a lot of control over what's happening in the key. It really does. It really does. People don't realize it, but it does. And when you're pugging, that's extremely valuable because the more things you can personally handle and the less you're depending on four random freaking people in a tank that's going freaking insane, just running around pulling everything with his blinders on like a horse or a mule, you can heal because you can heal. You can interrupt. You can dispel. You can use your utility. You can get them to that pool faster. You can save them on the pool whenever they're about to screw up. Anyways, and you've got big cooldowns that can sometimes save the group when things go wrong. Most definitely. All the time. That's why I think it's such a good healer when someone is serious about climbing Mythic Plus or trying to figure out how to go the distance. You know what I mean? So, anyways, with all of that being said, what's coming next? Well, with all this being said, this is really just the beginning of this series. And if you hung out to the end and listened to me, you know, I'm very grateful for you. And I hope that these videos that are coming help you and get you to where you want to be. And if there's anything in this video that I can improve or in videos, please leave a comment. I will be watching those comments. I'll be trying to help and I will try to make things more clear and better for understanding. You know what I mean? This is a tool for you guys. I'm going to try to get these videos out pretty quickly. And like I said at the beginning, I'm going to try to keep things very simple. I don't want to make this game harder than it needs to be. A lot of people like to do that. We're going to go through things like setting up your buttons, keybinds, healing setup, how to move, add-ons, cooldowns, and eventually how I heal each of the different dungeons, right? Videos, walkthroughs, pauses, circle, when to use cooldowns, positioning, just simple stuff. It seems like a lot, but I promise you, it's really not because it takes a lot of time, and I'm gonna put time into it, but not a lot of time, like trying to nerd out on this stuff. You know what I mean? Um, I want to actually show you what's happening instead of just sitting here telling you what buttons to press. Well, look at real pools and real dungeons. I'll show you where I'm using my cooldowns and where you can use cooldowns, what I'm watching for, what needs to be kicked when I'm holding cooldowns, and most importantly, what you can do as a healer when someone in your group makes a mistake. Because trust me, it's a pug. Pugs are bad. It's okay. We love them. We need them to play the game. Someone's going to make a mistake. It's going to happen. Anyways, I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap all this up. I hopefully this video isn't too long. The goal of this series isn't to turn everyone into a Mythic Plus nerd who memorizes every single ability in the game. The goal is to help you understand the game a little better, become a better player, start climbing those keys, and hopefully get that seasonal reward you're going for. Maybe your goal is around 3,400 to get that extra mount. Maybe you want to get the seasonal mount, which is basically like the Gladiator of Mythic Plus. I'm so happy they came out with this, by the way. It's amazing. I'm just saying. Sorry, I nerd out on that. But or maybe eventually you decide you want to take the next step and start pushing for that top 1% tout. Different beast, different beast, different beast. You need a group, but I hope you can get there. Um, I wish I could get there. I'm going to start this series with healing because, in my opinion, it's one of the best roles to climb with and one of the best ways to actually learn Mythic Plus. And I'm going to be doing it on a Resto Shaman, Mr. Powder Puffs. And then if you guys enjoy these videos and they're actually helping, I'd like to do the same kind of series from the tank perspective. And honestly, I'm a big tanker, dude. I love tank. I'm a tank. I love it. And so if you're trying to get better at Mythic Plus, pushing keys higher, or you're interested in learning Resto Shaman or just healing in general, subscribe because I've got a lot more coming. I'm gonna really start pumping out videos. Hopefully this helps you guys out. And like I said, if you are here till the end, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.